Hi, I'm Karlene and I enjoy sharing ways that you can create a beautiful life on a budget. From my little corner in the world, I hope to inspire you to make over parts of your life and home that need some TLC. I create videos around family, food, homemaking, DIY, travel, beauty, and more. Please subscribe if you would like to see more content like this so you don't miss my next video. Okay, so welcome to my kitchen where today I want to prepare some food. The boys are home from school. It is raining on and off outside, so there's probably going to be a little bit of noise in the background. So if you're wondering what that is my 3 children, age 8, 5 and 3 months old. The baby's just waking up from his nap, so we'll see how much I can get done. I want to try and make some breakfasts ahead. I am starving. I haven't had breakfast yet today and I wish I had something to just grab and quickly eat. So I want to try and do some make ahead sausage McMuffins, and I want to prepare the yogurt that I purchased as well with some chia pudding so I can make up some nice morning tea for hubby to take to work. And we'll see how much else food prep that I can get done today. Saving our scraps for the garden worms that I just purchased as well, of course. All right, let's get started. One way that I like to save money each week is to make my own yogurt using the Easiyo system. When I filmed this, they were half price at Coles, so keep your eyes out. I also like to top it with some mixed berries or some fresh fruit as well, which I'll show you shortly. It's a noisy household where I am, so I've had to do a voiceover with my kids in the background. So this is the Easiyo system. You get the outside sort of insulated base, you get the little red insert that you place inside. It all comes with instructions, of course. You also get the little container, which has got a watertight little lid on it. Here I'm just adding in the vanilla yogurt sachet that I purchased. I like just the normal vanilla yogurt, not the Greek style yogurt. I realise here in a second that normally I half fill it with water first and then add the powder. But it doesn't matter. I added the powder first, but it worked out fine. So you just shake it up until it's mixed well. And then you need to just add a little bit more water so it's nice and full. You need to make sure it's really mixed in properly, otherwise it won't taste very nice. So you just need that water, like of the mixture, to be up to the base of that sort of seam where the lid goes. You can see my kettle boiling in the background there too, so that's why you cannot hear me, because the kettle was boiling in the background, but that's okay. Once you've filled it up to the marked line and put your yogurt inside, it's time to put the lid on and let that sit overnight. So it's really quite easy to use. I like to put mine on a little heat-proof mat over to the side so it doesn't damage my bench top. So the next thing that I want to make in preparation for school going back is some chia pudding that I can use to layer it with the yogurt that we just made. So this is a really healthy additive you can add to your yogurt, and it's very easy to make, and it's also high in fibre. So we're going to mix 1/4 cup of the black chia seeds with 1 cup of milk, which I'll be putting in soon. So I just like to do it in a jar so that it's just easy for me to assemble, make sure that I see it when it's in the fridge so that it doesn't go to waste, and I find that the easiest way to prepare it. So here I'm just adding in 1 cup of milk. Now do as I say and not as I do. I just mixed it with the measuring cup here, you'll see in a second, because I didn't want to dirty another spoon and I was under the pump as usual, so I'm just like, oh, this will just do quickly. But this one was a bit chunkier than the previous ones that I've made, so use a spoon, make sure it's stirred in really nicely so that you get a even consistency for yours when you do it at home. Baby woke me up early the next morning, so I'm still in my pajamas. It's still dark outside and I'm getting ready to assemble this. This is how the yogurt turned out As you can see, it's not super runny, it is nice and thick, which is why I like this brand of yogurt. I'm going to start with layering everything together, so I just start with a loaded spoonful or two of the yogurt. And then I'm going to add in a spoonful of the mixed berries. This has got a 4-star health rating, so even though it has syrup in it and it's a bit sweet, I just feel like it lasts like longer in the fridge. So if I was to use fresh bananas, for example, by the 3rd day of it sitting in there, it's going to go grey and it's not going to be too appetizing or great to taste. Whereas when I've tried this or peaches, it's lasted really nicely. So I'll often make 6 at a time and just leave them in the fridge so that they're ready to grab and go for myself if I'm hungry and on the run, or my husband to take to work. And this is the chia pudding here. I forgot to mention that you can add some flavour to it if you wish. So if you want to add maple syrup, honey, vanilla essence, you can do that. I just kept mine basic because it's going to be mixed in with lots of other flavours, so I didn't feel like I needed it. So I'm just going to go ahead and layer this again. It almost looks like a trifle. I think they're really quite pretty to have as a healthy snack. And if you look at, well, I'm using reusable jars. I got like a 6-pack of these from Kmart, and I can add those below which size that I've got. I think they were the 330ml. But if you look at, if I was to purchase a 6-pack of yogurt just off the shelf, that is a bit of plastic that I will then be needing to dispose of in the environment. And for how much it cost me, I sort of get twice the amount of what I would compare to a bought yogurt. So that's another reason why I like making it as well. So not only is it budget friendly, but for those reasons too. I'm just going to go ahead and finish layering this. I've got a sprinkle of shredded coconut I'm going to add on top. You can just use whatever you have at home. If you don't have that, you can use pepitas, or if you wanted to add something else that you have, go ahead. I got this for maybe $2.25, half price at Coles. I think it might be a new brand, so often they have things like that on discount as an introductory price, and they were high in protein, so I thought, great, add some texture. It's healthy, and I'm really happy with how these turned out. So stick around while I put some more together. I only ended up making 3 jars at this time, only because I couldn't find the others, so I don't know where they've gone. I think they might have gone into my spice cabinet for storage, but this is what they look like. Aren't they beautiful? The kids' latest venture, and that is to grow some of their own food. They've got some tomatoes, and they've got chives, beans, some little baby carrots, some lettuce. Poor Zachary. We came out here one morning, there were 2 other lettuce here, and there was this fat caterpillar, like out of the book, The Hungry Caterpillar, and he'd like eaten one whole lettuce, was on the second one when Zachary found him, and we saved the 3rd one. So they've crushed up little eggshells to sort of try and keep the slugs away and the bugs away from eating them. And here is all these. Oh, there's one. Oh no, it's not. I thought that was a caterpillar wrapped around the stem of it, but it's not. It's the bean from where it grew. Amateur. So yeah, this is Ollie's little gardens. He just had very similar things. He just planted the carrots at the back. We're going to run out of room for sure, but it's just a fun little venture for them to start learning where food comes from and how to look after it. Look at the dirt. It's come away from the edge. It's so hot and dry already. But the reason why I'm showing you this is because we got a worm farm. I would love chickens, but I am terrified of snakes and attracting snakes into our backyard, because we do have a bit of greenery in our backyard, and I'm worried about attracting more than the normal amount of snakes and having to check everything is safe before the kids can come out and play. Don't mind all this stuff, right? pool stuff, mess of stuff. Don't look. All right, let's head over to the shade where our worm farm is and stick these guys in. It sounds so pretty outside. I'm just carting the baby around. Hey, give you some vitamin D. We'll get these worms into their new home. What do you think? Hey, let's see what they do. Let's see. So here is my worm farm. It's close to the back door but under shade, so I can quickly put the food scraps in at night time. I've just come outside and opened up the box. I noticed at Bunnings there were little like bugs flying in and out of these little holes, and I was like, ew, bugs. But like, I just bought a box of worms, yes. And I was surprised. Don't mind my dog barking at nothing. Probably a magpie. I noticed that barking at. Well, thank you for coming when I call you. Hey. And what was I gonna say? Now I got distracted. Yes, I got distracted because you were barking. Yeah, I'm surprised that it wasn't sort of sealed up, but I guess they're going to need oxygen to live, right? Like, even though they're under the ground. But they do say on the box, like, you need to bury them within 7 days, I think. Oh, there's one. Can you smell something? And it gives you a warning on the box to say to, there, can you see them? To be careful, like any other fertilizer product, because it's like, you know, organic. You don't want to touch it with your bare hands. Breathe it in. Oh, can you see? Breathe them in, or have like a cut on your finger where they can enter, or, you know, germs and bacteria can enter your body. I'll see if I give it a stir so you can see inside before we throw them in. Found a kid's toy which they play in the backyard with, so we'll see if we can. Oh, they're just under that top layer. So it said on the box that there was a mixture of, oh, did I just break that one in half? I'm pretty sure he'll regrow. There's like babies, juveniles, adults, maybe some eggs in there as well. So they will continue to grow and feed and breed in the worm farm, which I have over here. So you can add different sort of systems and layers to it. The more worms and compost that you have and you make, and the more scrap that you put in, because you only need to put in a bit of dirt each time. I've got a bucket there ready to go to turn the tap to get the worm tea out of. So waiting for the worms to spill the tea when it's ready. But yeah, let's go stick them in. Probably not a great idea to be doing this with a white skirt. Can't be bothered to get changed to do stuff around the house. If I've got the time, I'll just do it while the baby's happy. When I put the last lot of eggs in, it said to cover them with newspaper to keep it damp, but I didn't have any. Watch out, Suki. Watch out. Ew. And so I just used some cardboard because that's what I had. So some of the veggies are sprouting in there, which is fine. You can see some rock melon scraps in there. So I'm just going to throw these worms on top, water them in. They say to leave the lid off because then it encourages them to get down into the dirt. So we'll do that first. I don't know what's in the bottom of the bag, whether that's like worm food, worm eggs, or what. Ugh, I feel a bit gross, but it'll do good for the garden. It almost looks like creamed corn. You can hear some birds in the background. Maybe I should wait here so the birds don't just come and eat them. Is that a thing? Funny story, the other day we had the hose running because we were like wetting this down, and Zachary yells at me, "Mom, there's a worm, there's a worm." And over here on the ground was just this little lonely garden worm. So Zachary picked him up and stuck him in here like, "I'm putting you to work and you keep." I'll put some food scraps later as a little housewarming gift. It is so hot. I had to change my shirt, tie my hair back, surrounded by mess, but I'm just like, I just want to sit under the aircon vent and just drink my cold water. I have like a row of Kmart like plastic bottles under, like in the bottom shelf of the fridge, that always has cold water in it because I go through so much water breastfeeding. And I love my little drinking cup that I got from what is it? The adult smiggle. What's it called? Typo. And a funny story. So it has an open straw. It doesn't have a lid. And one time, I leave it beside the bed and I took a sip of water and I was like, spat it out because a fly had crawled down into the straw. And it gave me nightmares anyway. So now when I have a sip of water and I feel something like brush my tongue, I'm like, is it a fly? Is it not? It was just icicles this time because of the bottom shelf of the fridge. It makes the water quite cold, but every time, it makes me want to check. Is it a fly? Is it not? It's so gross. Meanwhile, was it just me, or did you also feel gross seeing that creamed corn in the bottom of that worm bag? Didn't want to relate it to the corn chowder that I had planned later on this week. Let's just hope that mental image doesn't stay with me until Monday or Tuesday, whenever I had that meal planned. Let's hope. Yuck. Back to the noisy household, so I need to do a voiceover here so you don't hear the kids playing and yelling in the background, being school holidays at this time, getting ready to go back to school. So here I'm talking about deconstructing these sausages into egg McMuffins, sausage and egg McMuffins with bacon. And I'm contemplating if I make 6 or 12 because I bought 2 packs of English muffins, I should call them. And I decided to go for the whole hog, and we'll do 12 today because that's pretty much a week's worth for hubby and I, just one day short. I'm going to start out by squeezing out the sausage meat from each sausage. Here I'm thinking that I was going to make a mess, which I kind of do. But it was really easy to portion these out and remove them. I had contemplated getting the larger sausage meat that you would use like in a meatloaf that you can get, but these are just what I had on hand, so I'm just using what I have already. And I'm just going to portion these out since I've got... I still find that funny. That doesn't look that appetizing, but it tastes really good in the end, trust me. So we're going to portion out 12 sausages for the 12 English muffins that I have. I think I counted that pile like 3 times each time. Each time I went to go and do it and squeeze them out, I'm like, hang on, how many sausages do I have left? How many have I done? It's like wrapping up the what do you call that game at the kids' party? Pass a parcel. It's like wrapping a pass a parcel and you think, wait, how many layers do I have? All right, here I'm just ziplocking the remaining sausages and just laying them flat in a Ziploc bag so I can freeze them and store them for a future meal. I find it easier to freeze them flat like that. They thaw a lot nicer than in a big clump. I find them quicker to thaw out. Up next, I'm going to fish around for my herbs and spices. Probably would have been handy if I had all of this organized before I started, but what you can do when you've got a moment free, right? So I've got salt, black pepper, beef stock, I've got onion powder, garlic powder, and smoked paprika as well. I'm just going to add a sprinkle of the salt and the pepper. And 2 teaspoons, oh sorry, no, this is the onion powder. So 1 teaspoon of the onion powder. Mine just got stuck in the little jar. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. And with the smoked paprika, I just add 1 loaded teaspoon of that. I ended up using some beef stock powder, but mine had gone a little bit solid, so I was just crumbling that in, but I don't recommend doing that. In the end, I ended up fishing out little chunks of beef stock because it didn't really dissolve in with the meat and it didn't disperse nicely. So do as I say, not as I do. I just continue to mix this by hand. I had considered putting in oatmeal to bulk it up or some kind of flour. Oh yeah, I was thinking about that scary movie scene where that guy's like using his strong hand to mix like that bowl of mashed potato. Getting distracted by myself. Next I was shaping the meat patties. by hand, and don't use an ice cream scoop because that didn't work. But I found that these didn't spread out, thin out and shrink like I expected them to. So when you've bought like frozen meat patties and things like that, or you think about McDonald's meat patties, how they sort of shrink with the fat content, these didn't. You'll see later on that they puff up, but I wasn't expecting them to, so I kind of was a bit happy-go-lucky, lumped them on there thinking they'd thin out, but they don't. I didn't mind. It made them for a nice, chunky, meaty breakfast McMuffin. But yes, note for next time, make them a little bit neater and a little bit thinner perhaps. They did end up really crispy though, which you'll see in a second, which I was really happy with. There's Ollie's head, don't mind him, checking out what I'm doing. So I've done the first tray and I'm on to the second tray, and the oven's preheating in the background there too. I just cranked it up to 180 just as I got started. And I'm just, now that I've got the 2 trays almost sorted, I'm realizing that some are bigger than others, some are, won't cook evenly because they're thicker than others, so I'm just sort of redistributing them and trying to reshape them as I go. Next up, I'm preparing the bacon to go on there. I'm going to bake these as well. I'm not a big fan of the shortcut. I like the middle bacon, just because it's a little bit fattier and a little bit crispier. So I'm just going to cut them using scissors to size of the English muffin, so that they're not sort of hanging over the edge, and then that way they will package nicely and cook nicely. There's not going to be like burnt bits of bacon hanging out the side. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop some of this up. I think I bought 1 kilo that day and I think I used maybe 1/3 of it. I didn't use all of it, and you could leave this out if you felt like the sausage meat was enough. On to the next layer, I'm just removing the eggshell that I cracked into the bowl, but I'm using 6 eggs and I'm just keeping the shells for our worm farm. Feed those little guys as a housewarming gift. I normally buy the free range eggs from Coles, and I'm just using a sprinkle of salt, sprinkle of pepper, and I'm also going to add some milk as well, just to help stabilize them, because they will be frozen in the meantime and then reheated in the oven. I think you could do them in the microwave as well, but I like the oven better, that they're toastier. My trusty whisk, my gammy whisk. If you saw my last video, she's still going. Daniel offered to buy me a new one yesterday when we were at Kmart, but I'm like, nope, she's fine, still works. I'm just going to throw some butter into the fry pan, ready to crisp up this into omelettes that I'm going to cut up to add to our breakfast English muffins. To make the sauce for this, I'm going to go in with 1/2 cup of honey, and I'm going to add in some Dijon mustard. I think I added, was it 2 teaspoons? Yeah, 1.5. I didn't want to make it too strong because the kids were going to be eating them as well. And I'm just going to go in with some whole seed mustard as well, just 1 teaspoon. I'm just going to mix that together. As you can see, I'm wearing baby, so it was quite difficult trying to do that while patting him, keeping him happy, while I was waiting for that butter to melt. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw that in and crisp that up. I didn't trust my omelette flipping skills while wearing the baby. That's my excuse anyway. I didn't want to flick any hot egg onto him, so I butchered it and cut it into quarters and flipped it so they're nice and crispy. And this is how the sausage meat ended up. I know it doesn't look appetizing at all. It looks like we're all thinking the same thing. We're all thinking it, I know. But they ended up really crispy and really tasty. If you want to try the recipe, it tastes a lot better than it looks, that's for sure. They crisped up a lot more than I thought they would as well. So now that my oven is free, I'm going to go ahead and layer on the bacon pieces, hoping that I can fit it all onto one tray so I can get that into the oven next. to make this a lot easier for assembling, I'm just going to lay out my omelette, and I'm going to use a pizza cutter. I did go in the other direction, but one of the boys walked in to show me some Lego that they'd made, so I just cut that little bit out, but I did cut it into 12 sort of rough square pieces. And next in line is some cheese as well. I wanted to add some cheese so they'll be nice and toasty and melted cheese. You know what I'm trying to say. So I'm just going to grate that so it melts softly. And I'm going to go ahead and toast these before I assemble them, so that if Daniel's running late for work and he just wants to microwave it at work, it wouldn't be my first option. I'd rather put it in the oven, but I'm lucky I'm at home. He won't be. So that way at least it'll have a bit of toastiness about it once he has reheated it, and it's not going to be all soggy and like moist on the inside. You know what I mean? You know. Alright, so I'm just going to chuck them in the oven quickly. In that time, the bacon is done. I literally did it for like 3 minutes, and I was testing it thinking, oh, it could have been done a bit longer, but I just left it because I just wanted to get these assembled because baby wasn't too happy. And there goes my Christmas tea cloth. I debated for a full 5 minutes. Do I wrap these in cling wrap or alfoil? Because cling wrap will be better for the freezer, but alfoil will be better if they're going straight into the oven, but then they're not going to be airtight against like freezer burn. So cling wrap I went. I'm just layering it with cheese first so that the sauce doesn't make the bread all soggy. So we're going to go with cheese, then our sauce, then some bacon, and then our mini sausage patties. You were thinking it. I went in with some more sauce because I felt like it was runny, but it tasted so good I didn't even care. So I doubled up on the sauce, doubled up on the cheese, so that I felt like that would just be like a waterproof layer closest to the bread. I'm trying to flatten it out because it was quite thick. This didn't even make it to the freezer. I just shoved it in my mouth, trying not to get the crumbs in baby's hair straight away. But it tasted so good. I had to like wash my face. Here I am telling you, I've got crumbs all over my face. I'm taking a drink break. So I did the first tray. Now the second tray, I'm thinking, I got a bit smarter the second time around. My assembly line was a bit more proficient. Layering it up like that and then wrapping them, much better idea. So do it that way, not the first way that I did it. And that was a bit more time consuming. So at least when I've got everything on hand now, I was sort of on the ball as to how to get it done a little bit faster. And I would make these again, so I would definitely do it like this next time. I probably could have paper toweled off the bacon, but I really just wanted to get these together and ready to go. Oh, there goes my tea towel again. Helpful, I know. These reheated really nicely too when I put mine in the oven each time that I did it. I was like looking forward to breakfast every day, and it was so handy because when you're not getting a great night's sleep, you're cluster feeding in the morning, you just want something that you can quickly eat. It's great. Just preheat the oven, shove it in, boil the kettle, make your coffee and eat. It's wonderful. Highly recommend pre-making breakfasts if you have had a baby recently, because sometimes it's easy. You get busy with the kids, you don't eat enough, you need to be eating to make breast milk. So highly recommend, spending some time in getting some breakfast meals together if you can. Your future self will thank you for it, trust me. I'm just going to go ahead and put the rest of these together. I tried some new compostable, I think that's the word, cling wrap, and it's like pre-measured. So that was a little bit of a different experience trying to wrap these. It was thicker and sturdier than I thought it would be, being compostable. But yeah, anyway. I had a win in the end. By the time me and the kids ate one each, so I ended up with 9 ready to freeze. So I was happy with that. Dusting my hands off there, thinking I'm just ready to get these together in the freezer. So keep your packet that they came in, because that is a super helpful way to store them in the freezer so they're not rolling around the bottom and you forget that they're there and then you end up throwing them out because they got freezer burn because they're 6 months old. You know what I mean. I hate wasting food. I hate food waste. Although now I have worms to give it to, so technically not complete wastage. This year we celebrated Easter in Yeppoon, and on the way home some of our Easter bunnies didn't fare so well. They were melted and misshapen, and so I thought, you know what, let's turn these into a school snack. So in this recipe we've got 2 cups of self-raising flour, we've got a quarter cup of sugar, and I'm just going to stir that together. I've got 1 cup of milk, and you can see little dots of oil on the surface. That's just because I used the same measuring cup that I used for the vegetable oil as I did for the milk, so I wasn't going to bother washing it out. It's all going to get mixed in anyway, so that's why the milk looks a little bit funny. So I've just got in there a quarter of a cup of vegetable oil, 1 egg. It's a really simple recipe. And you can use that base recipe and add 1 cup of any other filling that you like. But today we're going to be using our Easter bunny. I actually didn't realise, so this little Darryl Lee Easter bunny, it said Rock Lee on the front. And I didn't realise that it meant Rocky Road. And this is the precise moment when I thought, oh, marshmallows, this must be Rocky Road. Doesn't it have nuts in it? Yes, it does. I checked the label. 3.5% peanuts. So, can't take that to school. So, maybe check what Easter bunny flavour you have first before you just chuck it in loosey-goosey, because if it's got nuts in it, it's our school anyway. We can't take anything nutty to school. So, this ended up being a school snack on the way home from school. So at pick-up time, they were eating these in the car on the way home, because kids are always hungry that time of the day anyway. But I was looking forward to having them in their lunchbox, but anyway, is what it is. The kids loved it. They thought they were so tasty, and something a little bit different as well. I'm just going to stir that through so it's just mixed. And when it bakes, it'll have little swirls of chocolate through it. I'm going to use my trusty ice cream scoop to fill up my little silicone cups. I ran out of the little paper cups, but I thought, these are better for the environment anyway. Every Wednesday our school does a plastic free day, and I forget most of the time, so I just try and do less plastic all the time. And this is the precise moment I realized that I'm missing 3. Helpful. And I didn't have any paper ones to replace it, so I'm just going in with some butter so it doesn't stick. I'm wondering whether I sent them, like I packed them for the kids last time at school and they threw them out thinking that they were rubbish or got lost in the lunchbox and ended up somewhere else. I have no idea where they are. Anyway, this is life. So I'm just going to go portion these out with my ice cream scoop, because that's an easy way that to check that they're all uniform. I'm going to go ahead and pop these into a preheated oven at 180 degrees for about 15 minutes. Here I am having a giggle over my kitchenware, which is all very loved. These are from IKEA, my first overseas trip to IKEA in Salzburg, would you believe? They're about 12 years old and I'm not replacing them. They are fine. Here's how the muffins turned out. They were nice and gooey with the marshmallow and the boys loved them. Here's a close-up of the melted marshmallow. You can see baby cracking in the background there. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for dropping by. Feel free to subscribe, hit that bell, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Bye.